and welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional. He is Tim Stearns, CFP, president and founder of TJ Stearns, Inc., located in Arlington Heights and convenient for all proactive planning savers and investors throughout the Chicagoland area. Tim, we always appreciate the insight, the guidance, the topics that you bring to the airwaves here on Protect and Grow. Important for people's financial progress, important for the people that we care about. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, caring for our loved ones with a financial perspective.
Yes, Peter, it is that time of the year where we're talking about loved ones. We love them, but we don't want to take care of them. So in a way, right? I mean, so you want to try to kind of get them on the right path, right? And there's many different paths that you could take through this life, and that's why we're going to kind of bring out some of those good ideas that we have for people.
Well, Tim, this generation has been called many things, but one of the monikers that they have seemed to achieve is the sandwich generation, which means that we are raising children much longer into adulthood than previous generations did. But not only that, on the other side of the sandwich, our parents are aging as well. And many times we are having to extend or provide not only physical, but financial care for parents potentially as well. So the strains and constraints on our own financial wherewithal and well-being are certainly being tested.
I would agree with that. I mean, you're not going to sit there and let your parents starve, right? But I have seen, families that are taking up, I'll call it a collection per month to take care of their parents because they didn't plan well, which begs the question, what are you guys doing for yourself? So you're out there and you're wondering, what is the next step for me in retirement? Having a plan is part of that so that you don't run out of money and your family's not having to worry about mom or dad because you didn't plan right.
Yeah. Amongst the siblings, basically everybody trying to chip in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How far back, Tim, does that put our own financial preparation and progress, though, if we are having that kind of demand and that has to be worked into our own financial picture month to month?
Well, as you know, Peter, you can't borrow for your retirement. And that's half the battle right there is that, I just saw a seminar the other day for my continuing education, and they're talking about paying yourself and then figure it out from there, right? So set aside money for yourself and then take care of life. And I kind of like that, figure it out. And then you're building up a savings. But more importantly, you have to look at what investments you have, what you're doing with your 401ks, IRAs, how they're behaving. Are you taking undue risk? Basically going in for a full checkup.
Right. And having those conversations generationally, which often is tough because a lot of times within families, all of the finance is secret, and parents especially seem to play the cards very close to the vest, and not a lot of discussion about money happens. And maybe we need to open up those conversations just a little bit, as we do here on the program, Protect and Grow, each and every week. We talk openly about money and investments and finance, and talk about the conversations that perhaps you should be having with your family in turn. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got questions or concerns about anything that you hear on the program, and maybe most importantly, if you would like to get that plan put together that Tim Stearns, CFP, spoke about, that is the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Plan, you can pick up the phone and be in touch. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. And Tim, for the first 10 callers, you usually make a copy of your book available. And that book, of course, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, it does talk about this sandwich generation phenomenon.
Yeah, and the book covers so many other topics. We're going to be doing some webinars on that. We're going to be shooting that out to people. But for right now, I'd like to offer 10 of the books, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. Put them in people's hands as soon as we can. Reason being is that I don't think a lot of Americans have a plan, and not having a plan is a default plan. And there's so many different ways that you could be doing things better for yourself and your family, just by reading and getting knowledge, and never stop doing that. And I think the book helps with that.
Well, again, that Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle is available, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is pick up the phone, give a call, be one of the first 10 callers to today's program with at least 500,000 saved for your retirement. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Because certainly if we meet that description, we want to make the most of our savings, use it efficiently, provide leverage where possible, all those things that go into solving the modern retirement riddle. And Tim, I don't think that it is a selfish notion to plan for ourselves first. I sort of liken this to flying in an airplane, right? Is when they give that standard safety speech before takeoff, then they say, if you are traveling with small children and the masks drop from the ceiling, make sure to secure your own mask first. It's not because we don't care about the kids that we're flying with. It's because we care about them. And if we are not in the most stable situation possible ourselves, we're not serving to help stabilize those around us. And that's why we all have to take that responsibility, that burden of planning for ourselves seriously and put it first and foremost.
Right. And by us helping ourselves, we'll be able to help, the younger generations and that type of thing by, staying out of their way as far as needing money and that type of thing. When you look at the average, American only has about 40 grand for their retirement, that's scary, and so we got to make sure that if you do have those assets, that's excellent. Make sure that you have them deployed correctly, that you know where you're going to be pulling them from, and that type of thing. That's important.
On the children, or these days, Tim, even grandchildren that people are raising and supporting financially, that also puts some constraints on our own financial preparedness, right, Tim? Is that maybe we need to encourage those children and grandchildren to be as financially responsible for themselves as early as possible also, because that's going to put our own financial and retirement planning in jeopardy if we have to continue to support adult children throughout their lifetimes.
Right. And unfortunately, it creates just a whole cycle of people wanting money and that type of thing. I know a woman who lent out money to her kids so much and never really got it paid back. And now she's in a nursing home and, she's starting to run down on her own money. And when it was posed to the kids, hey, we might need to take up some money for mom's benefit, they don't have it. So now what? And I mean, if you've ever been in a Medicaid facility, and this woman did not have long-term care. So what happens now?
Yeah. Conversely, if we have not done our due justice to the planning that we need to do in order to put ourselves in that stable situation, we can then become a burden on the children, often within what is the range of their peak earning years, that their years that are primed to get retirement ready. And of course, Tim, we want to do anything for our children, right? That's why moms and dads and families are so wonderful, is that we try to support each other where possible. Particularly the moms get all of the appreciation out there, justly so, right? But Tim, we also do not want to place burden on those children that we cared so much about. And so that's why, again, we've got to plan, we've got to strive to put ourselves in that most stable financial situation possible. And a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, that is begun or furthered in your progress by getting a plan put together. Tim Stearns, again, CFP, Tim Stearns does offer the opportunity for that Protect and Grow written retirement income plan. And if you'd like to take advantage, just pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. So Tim, where does proper life insurance play into a well-rounded plan to help protect our family, or maybe even where does it play into the picture if we have not yet done all of the planning and saving that we need to?
Well, life insurance, when people are, get above age, let's say 60, they start to think they don't need life insurance anymore. And that might be argued that they don't. But here's what I think is that, I don't drive around my car without car insurance, right? I insure my house, right? So what I'm looking for is that a lot of people don't have long-term care insurance, and 7 out of 10 of us are going to need it. 9 out of 10 of us haven't addressed it. So for me, when my wife and I bought life insurance 3 years ago, the reason we did that was for the benefits of if one of us needs long-term care, my kids can pull down that tax-free for my benefit. So there's one reason that I did life insurance. My other reason was is that a lot of the politicians think they need to go after my money in the way of a state plan, state tax. And so you're looking at them, it's going to sunset at the beginning of 2026 to $5 million that you can leave to your heirs, right?
The estate tax level, which
The
right
estate
now is
tax, right?
excessively higher than
Oh,
that,
it's
right? It's
insane. Right.
significantly higher.
Right. So you want to die in the next year and a half. I'm kidding, but I'm saying that you want to make sure that you have some tax-free money that you can leave because I feel like Congress is coming after the middle and upper middle class. So that's another reason I did it. And then obviously I can build some cash value in there that I can take out money tax-free so I can avoid some of the IRMA surtax that they have going on with Medicare. So three reasons that I think long-term care, death benefit that's tax-free to my family, and I have cash value built up in there if I need it for a rainy day.
So is there a right type, or what type of insurance should we be looking at here for those goals, Tim? I mean, not all insurance includes all of those benefits, correct?
You're correct. A term policy doesn't, so it depends on your budget. But I'm seeing a lot of people who have a huge IRA or 401k, bigger than the value of it's bigger than their actual biggest asset, which is their house. And you're finding that people need to maybe take some required minimum distributions. This goes hand in hand to put it into a life insurance policy. You're going to have to take the money out anyways. So why not make it work for you? So my point is, I look at fixed index universal life. That's what I like for myself. And what that did for me is, again, it solved the riddle of needing long-term care. I have that now. I want to leave money to my heirs, death benefit, tax-free. I've done that as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, though, in your point that I don't take my home values worth of cash and just stick it in the bank and then say, well, I'm self-insured. I
Right,
no longer need homeowners insurance, right?
right,
It is the leverage that can provide. And likewise, that life insurance leverages to provide the death benefit there, and or Tim, as you're discussing, potentially that long-term care expense coverage. And I've thought about this many times with my wife and myself, and our situation is that I want to be able to spend our money together and enjoy our time together confidently in retirement.
right.
And so I think a little differently about that question, or the commonly held belief that we're not going to need life insurance in retirement, because it is literally that life insurance that is going to give me the ability to give her a refill on the bucket, and
Yeah.
therefore to give me the confidence to spend with her throughout our lifetimes.
And that's another reason that I did it. I want to have a great retirement down the road. And then, I don't want, I choose to leave a legacy like what you just talked about, to my family. And that's another reason that we both did it. Plus, we were healthy enough to get it, right? So it made sense. And, there's a lot of people sitting on a lot of IRA money that they don't know what to do with. And they're like, well, what if I need long-term care and going home? Well, if you can get life insurance, and it has long-term care in it, it's going to be a permanent policy. It makes sense.
Well, Tim, I know you spoke about the estate taxes coming down, sunsetting, and coming down significantly in 2026. It's not only that, right? And maybe if we've got a sizable portfolio, but we still sort of think, well, I'm not at the level of where estate taxes is going to impact me. Yeah, right. Maybe not today, but if those levels do come down, and if we get any kind of reasonable growth on our portfolio, might we be at that level at some point in time in the future? And then to your secondary point, Tim, where people have built up a whole lot of IRA money, assets in those tax deferred accounts, it's not even just the estate tax level, right? It is the income tax first, and then double whammied with the estate taxes.
Right. If you look at the fact that most of us uh, are in the upper to middle class, right? You're looking at these tax bills start out early on. They go after the uber wealthy. and then somehow they trickle down and they get the middle and upper middle class. I think the estate tax is definitely one of those. A big secret, not so secret, is that we have a huge federal deficit, right? And they
Right.
need to find out how are they going to pay for that? Well, they'll need to tax more. And you got the tax bill expiring at the end of 2025. That will mean income tax will go up, and then more importantly, you have the estate tax dropping to $5 million. I think it's going to get a lot of people more than they know.
And you have to imagine, or at least I do imagine, Tim, that they're not just going to let that one expire. They're going to implement a new tax measure themselves that will carry us years into the future. How much are taxes going to be going up if they do that? And Tim, again, we are talking about caring for loved ones. So this is the conversation. We've got to concern ourselves with taxes. We want to transfer value and values as well. Part of that conversation, again, with protecting the finances, life insurance, with protecting against the potential expenses of long-term care with that accelerated benefit. I remember during COVID, during the onset of COVID, there was like a rush to get life insurance in the midst of that pandemic. And a lot of people could not secure it as quickly as they wanted to. Tim, it's harder to get life insurance when you need it, right? It's like you've got to do this proactively. The time is now to jump on this.
I agree with you. Not only that, but one thing we haven't brought up, what about what happens to your spouse's pension or Social Security if they pass? Right? You're used to X and Y coming into your house to pay for your bills, and then X or Y disappears from that calculation. Well, then there's another reason for life insurance. So for me, that's another thing, survivorship income, to shore it up where you are. I mean, how many times have you seen a widow or a widower selling whatever their house that they're living in because they need to downsize because they can't afford it anymore? The last thing you want to do is do that, and have people seeing blood in the water and taking your house from you. So this is another reason that I did that. I want to make sure my wife is comfortable. If something happens to me, she'll still have money.
Proper saving, appropriate investing, understanding risk, understanding the tax planning, taking protections and cautions with insurance. All of this is, Tim, I know for me personally, a lot of the financial decisions I make are for the protection of my family. All of these topics are literally the steps to take and the conversations to have in order to provide your family with the utmost financial protection. And that's really what it is all about, right? Is that we want to make good financial decisions to protect others, to protect our own standard of living, but to protect our loved ones as well.
I mean, the last thing you want to do is leave someone high and dry, especially your loved ones. So having a plan, having an estate plan, checking over the estate plan that might be over 5 years old. We have an estate attorney on staff here. If you are out there in Chicagoland, you're thinking, did we do our will? Did we do it correctly? Did we do that? We have a great estate attorney, Don Cosley, that we use. Don, is happy to sit down with people and to figure out where they're at. They can come right to the office here. And then as far as their finances and that type of thing, we're very good at that, to kind of look it over, do a dissection and see what everything, where you're not sufficient and where you have maybe too much of something.
That's the cohesiveness of that written protect and grow plan, right, Tim? Is that you're going to also help people recognize and identify deficiencies in the estate planning or the tax planning, as well as the investment management, where they can maybe realize more opportunity in optimizing Social Security or controlling and minimizing taxes, as well as see years and years into the future, hopefully, but understand things like survivorship income and the pension decisions and the Social Security decisions, and how that is going to impact a surviving spouse if we are to leave one behind.
Right. And leave no stone unturned. What we find is a lot of times when we're having a conversation with people, there's something that they haven't even thought of that wasn't even on their radar, that we bring up. They, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that's a thing. It's been amazing how many people I think are very well educated and come in here and don't realize that, well, wow, my spouse dies, the Social Security goes with it, or I could do this while they are alive, to get half of their benefits, while they have, when they get to be retirement age. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get through retirement. I really think only one ideal way, and that's to have a plan.
Again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP, Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional. If you would like to speak with Tim, ask a few questions, if you'd like that complimentary review, that retirement planning strategy session, if you'd like a copy of his book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, or to get your own written Protect and Grow Retirement Plan, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, perhaps we should maybe acknowledge and mention that those listening to a program such as this are maybe more likely to be the ones in the household that kind of handles the majority of the finances, right? And kudos to you for being that backbone of support for your family, but nobody should be in the dark
Right.
about the finances,
I
right?
agree. I love when people attend our retirement classes, which again, we have our workshops all throughout Chicagoland. You can Zoom them, you can come in person, but I love when it's a husband and wife because normally, to your point, one of them has no clue what's going on. And it's interesting because they'll start looking over at the spouse during class and going, do we have that? Do we not have that? And it brings everyone onto the same page because heaven forbid someone dies and you don't know what's going on.
Well, Tim, you also had a list of things to make sure that have happened or that happen when and if a spouse or a family member, even a parent passes away. Pre-planning is obviously important, as we have been talking about on this program. Budgeting and spending. Make sure that anybody remaining who's going to rely on that financial situation understands the budget, the spending, where the bills are coming in, where the income is coming in, where the bills are going out, the bank accounts, access to those documents, especially legal documents, may need to be revised. Be sure to check the mail, Tim. Sometimes things continue to
Yep,
show up in the mail that are a
absolutely.
surprise to people. Online access, accounts and passwords, Social Security, pensions, life insurance, running a credit check to see if there are any open or unidentified lines of credit. All of these things, Tim, and there's more on the list, but all important for us to have a handle on beforehand. But certainly, if we are to ever lose a family member or when we do, running through a checklist like this, I think is very helpful during that time as well.
And just a month and a half ago, we did that with my 94-year-old mother, just to kind of make sure that we all knew where everything was and that we are all checking the boxes. I think that's so important because when something does happen, God forbid, you're so torn up that you don't know what's going on. And that way, some of the dirty work is done beforehand.
That's right, Tim. You've got personal experience in dealing with many of the things that we've talked about in today's topic of caring for loved ones. You help with your mom, and she has been on her own financially for quite some time. Correct?
Absolutely. My dad died 11 years ago, and she always did the finances. My dad, if the roles had been reversed, would have been really lost. But nowadays she's kind of winding it down, so my sister and I help her quite a bit. But I mean, we've seen it, and then I have four siblings that are all baby boomers, so I know exactly what they're going through too, being the sandwich generation, and getting ready to retire. So we've been through this. And if you're out there in a quandary saying, do I have a goal? Do I have a plan? Give us a call and we'll sit down with you just like I've done with my siblings and get you straight.
Well, again, Tim Stearns, CFP, here to help you through the planning process. Will help design for you that Protect and Grow written retirement plan. Ladies and gentlemen, all you need to do is pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And I think there is a sentiment, not selfish at all, Tim. I think this is completely appropriate, but that it's not my goal to leave a large legacy behind, right? It's your money. Spend it, enjoy it, do what you
Right.
want because you've worked hard for it. I don't believe that to be a selfish notion in the least. However, in reality, if we have taken care and addressed our matters in order to give us the confidence that we can live financially independent and confidently throughout our lifetime, then more than likely, Tim, there's probably something that is going to be left behind, right? And we should have open and honest conversations about that from the get-go so that we are transferring that value in an efficient manner and also transferring the values that helped us to build it.
To your point, I've had conversations with my 24, 22, and even my 19-year-old about where things are going and where they're not. And, kind of what we have going on, because I want them to understand it. I'm not always giving them the secrets to the kingdom, but I want them to kind of understand where we're at and where we're headed.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to take advantage of that complimentary opportunity for a review financial strategy session, if you would like to get the written Protect and Grow plan put together, reflecting your goals, your specifics, your customized plan for your situation, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call at TJ Stearns Inc., 800-640-2256. That is 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Maybe better than chocolates or roses or even a card, Tim, the gift of having that plan in place for our family would be so impactful and mean so much.
Absolutely. It's absolutely huge to have your affairs in order and then just have your life in order so that you're not a burden and you're living your best ideal retirement.
And maybe one more opportunity for a little gift, Tim. If somebody would like to call and request a copy of your book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, you're making that available on today's program as well.
If they have over $500,000 of assets, give us a call and we'll get it into your hands.
800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tim, always a pleasure having you here on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.